Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So the Abyss Villains Carina challenge is almost here and I will let you in on my plan. Now it is important to know that there are quite a few champions that you can base your run around, like Strife, like Mr. Fantastic. You can do a lot of damage with one called Thanos, as well as Serpent, even though in my testing Serpent wasn't all that great. And then obviously we do have champions like Null, which is going to be my choice because quite honestly, I didn't really want to use Mr. Sinister. I know he's very, very good for this, but so is Null. And I'm going to be using my rank 3 Null as like my main champion for just about everything. So we're going to start with Darkhawk, and Null does that fight just fine. There's no major issue. He can also do Luke Cage, even though it is a bit iffier. You do have a bit of a skill requirement there. So it might give me a little bit of a trouble. If you want, you can bring in somebody like Deathless She-Hulk, for instance, as a counter to that. Deathless Thanos should be able to do this quite nicely too. Count Neferi maybe, but it's going to be quite slow, so I'm just planning to use Null for this. Then we do have Old Man Logan, which Null will take perfectly fine, probably because of all the debuffs. I have actually tested that. Havoc, you can still use Null for that if you want to, because damage is not too great. You can use Null for Dormammu, but you do need to be careful of that 10% evade with the class disadvantage. Then we have Mordo, which again can be done by Null, because with Mordo you can parry and then just medium. But again, you do need to be very careful of that evade. Then we have Venom the Duck, where ramp up is quite slow, but once you have ramped up, the fight's probably fine, especially if you're running Recall Masteries. Howard the Duck still gonna be Null. We have Hyperion and the Champion, where I'm planning to use Absorbing Man, maybe Jugs, we'll see. I'm gonna do the full breakdown there. For Loki, I'm kind of planning to use Onslaught because he doesn't necessarily need to throw all that many special attacks, and he should work out, fine, because once we do get that first level 2 off, I just need to, keep everything paused and then activate my level 1 now and then, I suppose. Or just keep my, just be careful of pausing things. For Aegon, I'm planning to use Purgatory, and this is kind of like where my plan gets a bit incoherent and a bit tricky aside as well, because I do want to finish a skilled champion with Purgatory, so I do get that, soul, and then I will be able to put passive slow on the champion, the Nameless Collector, if I do need to use Purgatory to finish off the boss. Problem is I'm going to be running Recall Masteries, and Purgatory is not necessarily the most recall friendly, but I'll probably try to kind of like focus on level 3s for most part and just take a bit of time with this fight. And then, heal her up if needed. Invisible Woman with Null, and then we're going to have Call Obsidian probably with Null as well. And then I'm going to go in and use Onslaught as my main champion against Nameless Collector. He does quite well in that fight. He's capable of solo. If he doesn't, then I'm going to throw my entire team off on him and then possibly take off my recalls to finish the job there. But I do think I will be running Recall Masteries for just about all, because Null can do with vast majority of these fights, basically. So that is kind of the plan here. Again, I might change it a little bit, but it shouldn't be too bad. Again, some other noteworthy champions that I do want to highlight for the villain run. Again, you can do most of it with quite a few champions, and that is kind of why I like these runs in general, because you have quite a lot of options available to you. And I'd actually love to see how well Atuma does for a whole bunch of it. Obviously, Onslaught can be one of your main champions, and Onslaught will do a ton of damage here. Again, as I mentioned before, if you are into Spider Slayer is actually like very good against Nameless Collector. I want to show that out. If you have ramped him up, he's actually capable of soloing the Nameless Collector because of his passive slow. So that is super helpful there. Then again, Serpent is quite a solid and nice option here. I know some people will be focusing on Venom and Scorpion, because that synergy gives Scorpion a ton of damage and Venom can access a lot of damage. Vox is somebody that you can choose to use for the Darkhawk, for instance, if you want to go that way as well. So he can potentially be quite useful, as well as Deathless She-Hulk. In my testing, I didn't quite like Deathless She-Hulk because she was on the slower side for this, for whatever reason. Then, again, when it comes to the mystics, I think most people have questions about which mystics to use, because we actually, turns out we don't have that many mystic villains here. And the biggest recommendations for most part are Purgatory. Purgatory is very good and capable here. Besides Purgatory, we do have Juggy. Juggy can do most of the stuff that you would need from a mystic as well quite nicely. Absman is a solid pick, especially if you are going to be running Recall Masteries. And then besides that, obviously Madeline, but you know, hardly anybody has her. And Mojo is a solid option too, as is Shatra. But again, my kind of preferences are in between Absman, Purgatory, and Juggernaut for this stuff. Right. That put aside, I know some people are thinking and planning of using Zemo for the Collector, but I don't know, I really didn't like that fight too much. And I also didn't like him for Luke Cage because bleed immune, and then Baron Zemo is kind of a bit of a paradoxical champion where he's much better in short fights against bleed immunes, but he's significantly worse in long fights against bleed immunes. So I didn't like that all that much. Dark Phoenix, actually, if you have, can be quite good for this stuff too. Especially if you're running Recall Mastery, she does significantly more damage, and you can always, you know, full heal with her once a fight, so she can put in a ton of work too. I wonder if some madman is going to use Enchantress for this. Not me, but some madman. Right. But yeah, that is effectively going to be my plan. I'm going to likely going to bring in Null, Absorbing Man, Onslaught, Juggernaut, and Purgatory. Really, and again, Null I'm going to use for most of the fights. Onslaught's kind of like for Collector mainly, and then just, you know, I'm going to bring in Absorbing Man as a mystic that can work with Recall Masteries for those couple of Cosmic fights. Juggernaut, I'm thinking, could be okay as a backup option for Collector. He really doesn't have to be here, neither does Purgatory, to be honest. Like, these three champions could do the entire thing. So you're kind of free to experiment a little bit. But there we go. I think that's just about it. Soon enough, the challenge is going to go live. I will be streaming it live. I know a lot of people have already parked at the Nameless Collector. I don't like doing that. I will be doing the entire run live. But that's it for now. So if you have any questions, you know, catch me in the live stream and I'll try my best to answer. See ya. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have